The cargo ship touched down on Station Vrel 9 with a heavy thud. Taeho felt the landing gear struggle against the cold metal of the docking platform. Something was wrong. He could feel it in his bones even before the ship's systems confirmed what his gut already knew. "Warning," the ship's computer said in its flat voice. "External temperature dropping. Station power grid unstable." Taeho leaned forward in his pilot seat and looked through the front window. The station should have been bright with lights. Instead, he saw darkness. Only a few emergency lights blinked red in the distance, like dying stars in a black sky. He was a simple cargo pilot. 42 years old. He had been flying between stations for 15 years now. He had seen many things go wrong in space. Power failures were common. They happened all the time. But something about this one felt different. Taeho grabbed his thick brown jacket from the seat beside him. It was old and worn, but it was warm. His mother had given it to him before his first flight into space. She had told him to always stay warm out there in the cold darkness. He had kept that promise. He walked to the cargo bay and checked his delivery. 50 boxes of medical supplies. The station had ordered them 3 weeks ago. They were needed for the Kelari refugees who lived in the lower sections. The Kelari were a small species. They had thin bodies and large dark eyes. Their skin was pale blue, almost like ice. They came from a warm world that had been destroyed in a war. Now they lived wherever they could find space. Taeho pressed the button to open the cargo door. Cold air rushed in immediately. It hit his face like a slap. He stepped back and pulled his jacket tighter around his body. "That's not normal," he said to himself. Station temperatures were always controlled. They stayed at a comfortable level for all species. But this cold was deep. It went through his clothes and into his skin. He could see his breath forming small clouds in front of his face. He stepped out onto the platform and looked around. The docking bay was empty. No workers. No station staff. No one came to receive the medical supplies. The silence was heavy and strange. Taeho walked toward the main entrance of the station. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. Each step echoed in the empty space. The emergency lights cast long red shadows on the walls. He reached the entrance and found the door half open. The automatic system had failed. He squeezed through the gap and entered the main corridor. It was even colder inside. Frost was forming on the walls. Small crystals of ice sparkled in the dim light. "Hello?" Taeho called out. His voice bounced off the walls and came back to him. No one answered. He kept walking. The station was large. It held thousands of beings from many different worlds. Where had they all gone? He passed closed doors and dark windows. Some rooms had emergency lights. Others were completely black. Then he heard something. A small sound. Like a whisper carried by the cold air. He stopped and listened carefully. There it was again. It was coming from somewhere ahead. He followed the sound, walking faster now. He turned a corner and stopped. His heart dropped in his chest. 2 small figures sat against the wall. They were children, Kelari children. The older one was a boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old by human standards. He had pale blue skin and large dark eyes that looked up at Taeho with fear. In his thin arms, he held a smaller child. A baby girl. No more than 2 years old. She was wrapped in a thin cloth that did nothing against the cold. The boy was shaking badly. His whole body trembled as he tried to keep his sister warm. The baby was not moving. Her eyes were closed. Her small face was turning a darker shade of blue. Taeho felt something break inside his chest. It was a feeling he knew well. It was the feeling that came when he saw something wrong in the universe. Something he had to fix. He walked slowly toward the children. He did not want to scare them. Humans were large compared to Kelari. He must have looked like a giant to them. The boy held his sister tighter. His dark eyes watched Taeho with a mix of fear and something else. Hope. Maybe. Or desperation. "It's okay," Taeho said softly. He knelt down so he was at their level. "I'm not going to hurt you." The boy's lips moved. He was trying to speak, but the cold had made him weak. His voice came out in broken pieces, like ice cracking. "Sir," the boy whispered. "Sir, please. My baby sister is freezing." Those words hit Taeho harder than any punch he had ever taken. He looked at the tiny girl in the boy's arms. She was so small, so fragile. Her thin body was not made for this cold. Kelari came from a warm world. Their blood ran at temperatures that would feel cold to humans, but even they could not survive this. Taeho did not think. He did not plan. He simply acted. He took off his jacket. The cold immediately bit into his arms and chest. He felt it dig into his muscles. But he did not care. He leaned forward and gently wrapped the jacket around both children. The thick fabric covered them completely. It was still warm from his body. The boy looked up at him with wide eyes. He did not understand. Kelari did not have much contact with humans. They did not know what humans were like. They had only heard stories. Some said humans were dangerous. Others said humans were strange creatures who did strange things. Taeho reached out and carefully lifted both children in his arms. They weighed almost nothing. Their small bodies felt like they were made of paper and air. He held them close to his chest, pressing them against his warm body. The boy made a sound of surprise. His dark eyes grew even wider. "You are so warm," the boy whispered. "How are you so warm?" Taeho smiled softly. "Humans run hot," he said. "We carry our heat inside us." Coding workly cakes. The baby girl stirred slightly in her brother's arms. She made a tiny sound. It was not much, but it was something. She was still alive. "What are your names?" Taeho asked as he started walking. He needed to find somewhere safer, somewhere with more heat. "I am Vren," the boy said. His voice was a little stronger now. The warmth was helping. "My sister is Keela. I'm Taeho," he said. "Where are your parents, Vren?" The boy's face changed. Fear filled his eyes again. "I don't know," he said. The lights went off. Everyone started running. "Mother told me to hide with Keela. She said she would come back. But she didn't come back." Taeho felt anger rise in his chest. Not at the mother. He understood that she must have been trying to protect her children. But at the situation. At whatever had caused this power failure. At a universe that would let two small children freeze alone in the dark. "We'll find them," Taeho said. "I promise. But first, we need to get you somewhere warm." He walked through the cold corridors with the children pressed against his chest. His arms ached from holding them. His body was getting colder without his jacket. But he kept walking. Little Keela moved again. She turned her face toward his chest and pressed herself against his warmth. It was a small movement, but it told him everything. She was fighting. She wanted to live, and Taeho was going to make sure she did. Taeho moved through the dark station with the two Kelari children held tight against his chest. The cold was getting worse. He could feel it pressing against his skin, trying to dig into his bones. Without his jacket, he had only his thin shirt to protect him. But the children needed that jacket more than he did. Little Vren had stopped shaking so badly now. The warmth from the jacket and from Taeho's body was helping him. He kept his arms wrapped around his baby sister Keela, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the universe. To him, she probably was. "Where are we going?" Vren asked. His voice was still weak, but it was clearer than before. "I'm looking for an emergency shelter," Taeho said. "All stations have them. They should have backup power and heat." He had been on many stations in his years as a cargo pilot. He knew how they worked. Emergency shelters were always located near the main corridors. They were designed to keep people alive when everything else failed. He just had to find one. The red emergency lights flickered above them. Some of them had stopped working completely, leaving long stretches of pure darkness. Taeho had to feel his way along the walls during those parts. His hand touched cold metal and frost. The temperature was still dropping. "Sir," Vren said suddenly, "why did you give us your jacket?" Taeho looked down at the boy's face. Those large, dark eyes were staring up at him with confusion. It was a look he had seen before. Many alien species did not understand humans. They thought humans were strange, unpredictable, sometimes dangerous. Because you needed it, Tejo said simply. But now you are cold, Vren said. You could freeze too. Tejo smiled even though his teeth wanted to shake. Humans are tough, he said. We can handle cold better than most species. Our bodies make a lot of heat. I'll be fine for a while. How? Where? This was partly true. Humans did run hotter than many other species in the galaxy. Their bodies burned energy constantly, producing heat as a side effect. It was one of the things that made humans unusual, but Tejo knew he could not last forever. Even humans had limits. I have never met a human before, Vren said quietly. My mother said humans are strange creatures. She's not wrong, Tejo said with a small laugh. We are pretty strange. Vren was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke again. She also said some humans are kind. I think you are one of the kind ones. Those words warmed Tejo more than any jacket could. He held the children a little tighter and kept walking. They passed a window that looked out into space. Stars burned in the blackness, cold and distant. Somewhere out there, ships were flying. People were living their lives. They did not know that two small children were fighting to survive on a frozen station. Tejo turned away from the window and continued down the corridor. His legs were getting tired. The children did not weigh much, but carrying them for so long was starting to hurt. His arms burned with the effort, but he did not stop. He could not stop. There, he said suddenly. Ahead of them, he saw a door with a bright orange symbol on it, the emergency shelter sign. It was still lit, which meant there was power inside. He walked faster, almost running now. His boots slapped against the frozen floor. Frost crunched under his feet. He reached the door and pressed the button beside it. Nothing happened. He pressed it again. Still nothing. The door did not move. No, Tejo said. He pressed the button over and over. Come on. Vren looked up at him with worried eyes. Is it broken? Tejo took a deep breath. He looked at the door. It was made of thick metal, designed to protect people inside from dangers outside. But right now, the danger was the cold, and they were on the wrong side of the door. He shifted the children to one arm, holding them against his hip. With his free hand, he searched for a manual release. All emergency doors had one. It was required by galactic safety laws. His fingers found a small handle hidden in a panel beside the door. He grabbed it and pulled. The handle was stiff from the cold. It did not want to move. He pulled harder, putting all his strength into it. The handle moved. The door made a grinding sound and slowly slid open. Warm air rushed out and hit Tejo's face. It felt like stepping into sunlight after being lost in darkness. He could have cried with relief. He stepped inside quickly, and the door closed behind them. The shelter was small but well-equipped. Emergency lights glowed on the ceiling, much brighter than the red ones in the corridor. A heating unit hummed in the corner, pushing warm air into the room. There were benches along the walls and blankets stored in compartments. Tejo carried the children to the heating unit and sat down on the floor in front of it. He arranged them in his lap, making sure the warm air reached them. Better? He asked. Vren nodded slowly. His pale blue skin was starting to look healthier. The dark shade was fading. Much better, he said. Baby Keela opened her eyes for the first time. They were large and dark like her brothers, but they had a softness to them. She looked up at Tejo and made a small sound. It was not quite a word, but it felt like she was trying to say something. Hello, little one, Tejo said gently. Welcome back. Keela reached out with one tiny hand and touched his face. Her fingers were cold against his skin, but they were not frozen. She was warming up. Vren watched this with amazement in his eyes. She likes you, he said. Keela is usually afraid of strangers. Maybe she knows I'm trying to help, Tejo said. He reached over and grabbed one of the blankets from the storage compartment. He wrapped it around both children, adding another layer of warmth on top of his jacket. Then he grabbed another blanket and put it over his own shoulders. The cold had gotten deep into his muscles. He needed to warm up too. Sir Tae-ho, Vren said. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you help us? Vren asked. You do not know us. We are not your kind. Most species do not help others unless they get something back. Tae-ho thought about this question. It was a good question. Many beings in the galaxy asked it when humans did things that seemed strange to them. Where I come from, Tae-ho said slowly, we have a belief. We believe that all children are precious. It does not matter where they come from or what they look like. When a child is in danger, you help them. You do not think about it. You do not ask for something back. You just help. Vren frowned. All children? Even children of other species? Especially children of other species, Tae-ho said. Because they might not have anyone else to help them. Vren was quiet for a long moment. He looked down at his sister, who had fallen asleep against Tae-ho's chest. Her breathing was steady now. Her small body rose and fell with each breath. That is very strange, Vren said finally. Tae-ho laughed softly. I told you. Humans are strange, but it is a good kind of strange, Vren said. I think I like humans. Tae-ho felt warmth spread through his chest. It was not from the heating unit. It was something deeper. Something that came from knowing he had done the right thing. Now, he said, let's figure out how to find your parents. The emergency shelter was warm and safe, but Tae-ho knew they could not stay forever. Somewhere on this frozen station, two parents were searching for their children. He had to help them find each other. Vren had explained what happened while they rested. The power had failed suddenly. The lights went out. The heating stopped. People panicked and started running in different directions. His mother, a woman named Yura, had pushed him and Keela into a small storage area and told them to stay hidden. She said she would come back for them. But she never did. She would not leave us, Vren said. His voice was firm. Something must have happened to her. Tae-ho believed him. A mother who pushed her children to safety was not a mother who would abandon them. Something had stopped her from returning. What about your father? Tae-ho asked. Father was working in the lower section, Vren said. He maintains the water systems. When the power failed, he was probably trapped down there. Tae-ho nodded slowly. The lower sections of stations were often the most dangerous during emergencies. Systems down there were complicated. Doors locked automatically. People got stuck. Baby Keela was sleeping peacefully now. Her small body had warmed up nicely. She had even started making soft sounds in her sleep. Little whispers of dreams. Vren held her gently, never letting go. I need to try the communication system, Tae-ho said. He stood up and walked to the panel on the wall. Every emergency shelter had basic communication equipment. If it was working, he could try to contact station security or other survivors. He pressed the power button. The screen flickered to life. Static filled it at first, but then it cleared slightly. He saw a list of available channels. Emergency broadcast. This is Shelter D7, Tae-ho said into the speaker. Does anyone read me? I have 2 Kellery children here. They need help finding their parents. Static answered him. He waited, but no response came. He tried again. This is Shelter D7. We are looking for a Kalari woman named Yura. Her children are safe. Please respond. More static. Then, suddenly, a voice broke through. Shelter D7, this is station security. We read you. Please hold. Tae-ho felt relief wash over him. Security. I have 2 Kalari children with me. Their parents are missing. The mother is named Yura. The father works in water maintenance in the lower section. There was a pause. Then the voice returned. We are aware of the situation. The power failure has affected most of the station. We are working to restore systems. Do not leave the shelter. We will send a team to your location. How long? Tae-ho asked. Unknown. We are short on personnel. Many areas are still dangerous. Tae-ho frowned. That was not good enough. Those children needed their parents, and their parents needed to know their children were alive. Have you found anyone named Yura? He asked. A Kellery woman? She was in the residential area when the power failed. Another pause. Taeho could hear voices in the background. People talking over each other. "We have a Kelari woman in our main shelter," the voice finally said. "She has been asking about her children. She is very distressed." Vren jumped to his feet. "Mother!" he shouted. "That's our mother!" Taeho put a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Easy," he said. "Let me handle this." He turned back to the communication panel. "Security, can you patch me through to her? Let her know her children are safe." "Hold on," the voice said. The static returned. Taeho waited. Vren stood beside him, his whole body tense with hope and fear. Even little Keela seemed to sense something was happening. She woke up and looked around with her big dark eyes. Then a new voice came through the speaker. It was high and shaking, filled with emotion. "Vren? Keela? Are you there? Please, please answer me." Vren grabbed the speaker from Taeho's hand. "Mother! Mother! We are here! We are safe!" A cry came through the static. It was a sound of pure relief, of joy mixed with tears. "Oh, my babies, my precious babies. I thought I lost you. I thought the cold took you." "A human found us, Mother," Vren said. His voice was excited now. "He gave us his jacket. He kept us warm. He saved us." There was silence for a moment. Then the mother spoke again, her voice different now. Confused. Uncertain. "A human? A human saved you?" "Yes, Mother. His name is Taeho. He carried us to a shelter. He is very warm. Humans are very warm, Mother." Taeho felt his face grow hot. He was not used to being talked about like this. He was just a cargo pilot. He had just done what anyone should do. "Please," the mother's voice said. "Please, let me speak to him." Vren handed the speaker back to Taeho. He cleared his throat. "Ma'am, my name is Taeho. I'm a cargo pilot. I found your children in the corridor near the docking bay. They were very cold, but they are safe now. They are both warming up nicely." "You saved them," the mother whispered. "You saved my children." "Anyone would have done the same," Taeho said. "No," the mother said. Her voice was stronger now. "No, they would not have. I have lived on many stations. I have seen how other species treat Kelari. We are refugees. We have nothing to offer. Most beings walk past us like we do not exist. But you stopped. You gave your warmth to my children." Taeho did not know what to say. He looked at Vren and Keela. The boy was smiling for the first time since Taeho had found him. The baby was making happy sounds, reaching for her brother's face. "They are good children," Taeho said finally. "Your son is very brave. He protected his sister through the whole thing. You should be proud of him." The mother made a sound that was half laugh, half cry. "I am," she said. "I am so proud. And I am so grateful. Please, do not leave them. Stay with them until I can get there. Please." "I'm not going anywhere," Taeho said. "I promise." The communication ended. Security said they would try to clear a path so the mother could reach the shelter. It might take time, but they would make it happen. Taeho sat back down on the floor beside the children. Vren was still smiling. Keela had crawled into Taeho's lap and was playing with the zipper on his jacket, which they had taken off now that the shelter was warm enough. "Mother sounded happy," Vren said. "She did," Taeho agreed. "She was very worried about you." "Try. She always worries," Vren said. "Father says she worries enough for the whole family." Taeho laughed. "That's what mothers do. It's their job." Vren looked at him with curious eyes. "Do you have children, Sir Taeho?" The question caught Taeho off guard. He was quiet for a moment, thinking about how to answer. "No," he said finally. "I do not. I spend most of my time in space, flying from station to station. It is not a good life for a family." "Do you want children?" Vren asked. Taeho looked down at Keela. who had fallen asleep again in his lap. Her small hand was still holding onto his jacket zipper. She looked peaceful. Safe, maybe someday, he said softly. If I ever stop flying. Vren nodded like this made perfect sense to him. You would be a good father, he said. You know how to make children feel safe. Those words hit Taeho harder than he expected. He felt something shift in his chest, something he had not felt in a long time. Thank you, Vren, he said. That means a lot. They sat together in the warm shelter, waiting for the mother to arrive. Outside, the station was still cold and dark. But inside, there was warmth. There was hope. And for now, that was enough. The shelter door opened with a hiss of air. Taeho looked up and saw a Kelari woman standing in the doorway. She was thin and pale blue, like her children, with the same large dark eyes. But her eyes were red from crying. Her clothes were torn and dirty. She looked like she had been through a war. Mother, Vren shouted. He jumped up and ran to her. The woman fell to her knees and caught him in her arms. She held him so tight, it looked like she was trying to pull him inside herself. Tears ran down her face, leaving wet trails on her pale blue skin. My boy, she whispered. My brave boy. Taeho stood up slowly, carrying Keela in his arms. The baby had woken up when the door opened. She was looking at her mother with wide eyes, like she was not sure if this was real. The mother looked up and saw Keela. A sound came from her throat that was almost like a scream. She reached out with one arm while still holding Vren with the other. Taeho walked over and gently placed Keela in her mother's arms. The woman pulled both children close and held them against her chest. She was shaking now, crying so hard she could not speak. Taeho stepped back and gave them space. This was their moment. He was just a stranger who had helped. This reunion belonged to them. Behind the mother, 2 station security officers stood in the corridor. They were tall beings with gray skin and 4 arms. Talveen, Taeho recognized. They served as security on many stations throughout the galaxy. They were watching the reunion with expressions that might have been confusion. One of them looked at Taeho. You are the human who found them? Yes, Taeho said. You gave them your jacket, the officer said. It was not a question. We found it wrapped around them when we checked the shelter. They were freezing, Taeho said. They needed it more than I did. The officer made a sound that Taeho could not quite understand. It might have been surprise or disbelief. Humans are strange, the officer said. So I have been told, Taeho said. The mother finally found her voice. She looked up at Taeho with tears still running down her face. I do not know how to thank you, she said. You saved my children. You saved my whole world. You do not need to thank me, Taeho said. I did what anyone should do, but no one else did, the mother said. Her voice was suddenly sharp, angry, but not at him. I ran through those corridors for hours looking for them. I passed dozens of beings. I begged for help. Most of them ignored me. Some told me they could not waste time helping Kelari refugees. One even told me my children were probably already dead. Taeho felt his hands close into fists. Anger burned in his stomach. How could anyone say that to a mother looking for her children? The cold was terrible, the mother continued. But the coldness of those people was worse. I thought I had lost everything. I thought my children had frozen to death while strangers walked past them without caring. She stood up, still holding both children in her arms. She was smaller than Taeho by almost a full head, but she looked up at him with eyes that burned with emotion. Then I learned a human had found them, she said. A human. A species I had never met. A species some say is dangerous and unpredictable. And this human gave my children his own warmth. He carried them to safety. He protected them like they were his own. She stepped closer to Taeho. Do you understand what you have done? Do you understand what this means to us? Taeho shook his head. He truly did not understand. He had just seen 2 children in danger and helped them. That was all. My people lost our home, the mother said. We have been wandering the galaxy for 10 years. We have been treated like dirt, like nothing. We have learned that most species only care about themselves, but today, you showed my children that there is still kindness in the universe. You showed them that some beings will help strangers without asking for anything in return. She reached out and took Taeho's hand. Her fingers were cold against his skin, but her grip was strong. You did not just save their lives, she said. You gave them hope. And hope is the most precious thing in the universe. Taeho felt something wet on his face. He touched his cheek and realized he was crying. He had not cried in years. He had thought he had forgotten how. I just did what was right, he said. His voice was rough. Yes, the mother said. And that is exactly why it matters. Vren tugged on his mother's arm. Mother, where is father? Is he safe? The mother's face changed. A shadow passed over it. Father is still in the lower section, she said carefully. The security officers are trying to reach him. The doors are locked down there. Taeho looked at the security officers. What is the situation in the lower section? The Talveen officer shifted uncomfortably. The power failure hit that area hardest. Several corridors are completely frozen. We have teams trying to break through. But it is slow work. The water maintenance section is still sealed. How many people are trapped down there? Taeho asked. At least 50, the officer said. Mostly workers. A few Kellery refugees who were sheltering in the maintenance tunnels. Taeho felt his heart grow heavy. 50 beings, trapped in the cold. And one of them was the father of these 2 children. I want to help, Taeho said. The officer looked surprised. You are a cargo pilot. This is a security matter. I have hands, Taeho said. I can help break through doors. I can help carry people. I can do something. The mother stared at him. You would do that? You would risk yourself again for people you do not know? Taeho looked at Vren and Keela. The boy was watching him with those big, dark eyes. The baby was sleeping again, peaceful in her mother's arms. I know them now, Taeho said. Vren and Keela need their father, and I am going to help bring him home. The security officer made that strange sound again. Humans, he said, shaking his head. I will never understand your species. You do not need to understand us, Taeho said. Just let me help. The officer was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. Very well. Follow me. We can use all the help we can get. Taeho turned back to the family. The mother was looking at him with an expression he could not quite read. It was something between wonder and disbelief. Come back safe, she said. Please, come back safe and bring my husband with you. I will, Taeho said. I promise. He picked up his jacket from the bench where he had left it. It was warm now, heated by the shelter. He put it on and felt its familiar weight settle on his shoulders. His mother's gift, his protection against the cold. He walked to the door and stopped. He looked back one more time at the Kellari family. Vren raised his hand in a small wave. Thank you, Sir Taeho, the boy said. Thank you for everything. Taeho smiled. I will be back, he said, and I will have your father with me. Then he stepped out into the cold corridor and followed the security officers into the darkness below. The lower section of Station Vrel 9 was a frozen wasteland. Ice covered the walls and floor. The air was so cold, it hurt to breathe. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts. Taeho followed the security officers through the maze of corridors. His breath formed thick clouds in front of his face. Even with his jacket, the cold was getting to him. His fingers were going numb. His toes ached inside his boots. The water maintenance section is ahead, one of the Talveen officers said. The door is frozen shut. We have been trying to break through for hours. They reached a large metal door covered in ice. Several workers were standing around it, holding tools and looking frustrated. They had been hitting the ice with hammers and picks, but it was thick. Too thick. Taeho walked up to the door and pressed his hand against it. The cold bit into his palm immediately. But behind the cold, He felt something else. He felt the vibration of voices. People were alive on the other side. "They are still there," he said. "I can hear them." The workers looked at him with tired eyes. "We know they are there," one of them said. "But we cannot break through. The ice is too strong." Tejo looked around. He saw heating units stacked against the wall, probably brought down to help melt the ice. But they were not being used. "Why are the heaters not running?" he asked. "They do not work well in this cold," a worker said. "They freeze up before they can make a difference." Tejo thought for a moment. Then he started taking off his jacket. "What are you doing?" the security officer asked. "Human bodies produce heat," Tejo said. "A lot of heat, more than most species." He pressed his bare hands against the frozen door. The ice was painful against his skin. But he held on. "If I can warm up the area around the lock, maybe we can get the mechanism to work." The workers stared at him like he was crazy. Maybe he was. But he had promised Vren he would bring back his father. And Tejo did not break promises. He pressed his whole body against the door. The cold was terrible. It felt like knives cutting into his skin. But he could feel the ice melting slightly where his body touched it. His heat was working. "Help me," he said through clenched teeth. "Anyone with warm bodies, press against the door. We need more heat." The workers looked at each other uncertainly. Then one of them, a large being with thick red fur, stepped forward. He pressed himself against the door next to Tejo. His fur was warm. Very warm. "I am from a hot world," the being said. "My body temperature is even higher than a human's." 2 more workers joined them, then 3 more. Soon, a whole group was pressed against the frozen door, sharing their body heat. The ice began to melt faster. Water dripped down the metal surface. "The lock!" one of the security officers shouted. "I can see the lock mechanism. Keep going." Tejo pushed harder. His arms were shaking. His body was screaming at him to stop, to get away from the cold. But he kept pushing. He thought about Vren's face. He thought about little Keela sleeping in his arms. He thought about a mother crying with relief. The lock clicked. The door groaned and slowly slid open. A rush of slightly warmer air came from inside. It was not warm by normal standards, but compared to the corridor, it felt like summer. Tejo stumbled back, his body exhausted. People started coming out of the maintenance section. Kellerai refugees with pale blue skin, station workers with tired faces. They were cold and scared, but they were alive. Tejo scanned the crowd, looking for one face in particular. He did not know what Vren's father looked like, but he knew Kellerai features now. Pale blue skin, large dark eyes. "Is there a man named Sung-Ho here?" Tejo called out. He had asked the mother for the father's name before leaving the shelter. "Sung-Ho. Who works in water maintenance?" A figure pushed through the crowd. He was a Kellerai man, thin like all his species, but with strong arms from years of manual work. His dark eyes were wide with confusion. "I am Sung-Ho," he said. "Who are you? How do you know my name?" "Your family sent me," Tejo said. He managed a tired smile. "Your wife and children are safe. They are waiting for you in Shelter D7. The man's face changed. Every emotion Tejo had ever seen passed across it in seconds. Shock. Disbelief. Hope. Joy. "Yura is safe?" he whispered. "Vren and Keela are safe?" "Yes," Tejo said. "They are all safe. I found your children in a corridor during the blackout. They were freezing. I kept them warm until we reached the shelter. Your wife joined us there." Sung-Ho stared at him. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Then, suddenly, he fell to his knees. He grabbed Tejo's hands and held them tight. "You saved them," he said. His voice was shaking. "You saved my children." "I just helped," Tejo said. He was uncomfortable with the gratitude. He did not feel like he had done anything special. "You humans, Sung-ho said. He looked up at Tae-ho with tears in his eyes. I have heard stories about your kind. Some say you are violent. Others say you are selfish. But now I know the truth. Humans carry warmth inside them, not just in your bodies, but in your hearts. Other beings in the corridor had stopped to watch. Kellery refugees, station workers, security officers. They were all staring at Tae-ho with strange expressions. The security officer who had led Tae-ho down here stepped forward. We should get everyone to the main shelter, he said. The power is being restored. The station will be warm again soon. Tae-ho helped Sung-ho to his feet. Come on, he said. Let's get you back to your family. They walked together through the frozen corridors. The cold was still there, but it seemed less terrible now. Maybe it was because the power was coming back, or maybe it was because Tae-ho was surrounded by people he had helped save. When they reached shelter D7, the door opened before they could touch it. Yura stood in the doorway, her children in her arms. She saw her husband and screamed. Sung-ho ran to her. They crashed together in an embrace that seemed to contain everything. Love, relief, gratitude. The whole family held each other and cried. Tae-ho stood back and watched. He felt something warm spread through his chest. It was not just from the heating units. It was something deeper. Something that came from knowing he had made a difference. Vren broke away from his family and ran to Tae-ho. He threw his small arms around Tae-ho's legs and hugged him tight. You kept your promise, the boy said. You brought father back. Tae-ho knelt down and hugged the boy properly. I told you I would, he said. The family gathered around him. Yura was crying. Sung-ho kept shaking his hand. Even little Keela reached out and touched his face with her tiny fingers. We will never forget this, Yura said. Our children will tell their children about the human who saved them. The human with warmth in his heart. Word spread across the station. Then across other stations. Then across the galaxy. The story of a human cargo pilot who gave his jacket to 2 freezing alien children became legend. It was told in refugee camps and spaceports. It was whispered among species who had never met a human. And whenever beings asked what humans were really like, the Kellery would tell them the truth. Humans are strange, they would say. They carry warmth inside them. And when children are in danger, they will give that warmth away, without asking for anything in return. That is what humans do. That is who humans are.